Jack slowly leaned down, and his lips brushed against Emily's in a gentle kiss. It wasn't their first kiss, but this time it was deeper, slower, and filled with emotion. Every gesture he made conveyed tenderness and care. In that moment, Emily felt as though time had stopped, all her worries and doubts melted away. As the kiss gradually intensified, Jack gently placed his hand on Emily's face, caressing her hair with a softness that made her freeze in place. "I've never felt this way before," Emily thought to herself, as Jack's every movement seemed to awaken a torrent of emotions within her that she had never experienced before. His touches along her back made her feel both exhilarated and completely safe. Jack wasn't in a hurry. He allowed everything to unfold naturally, slowly exploring each layer of Emily's feelings. His gentle touches, from the way he wrapped his arms around her waist to the careful caresses on her shoulders and neck, made Emily feel an overwhelming rush of emotions. She couldn't deny that Jack's presence made her feel like she was floating, enchanted in every intimate moment they shared. Emily shivered slightly as Jack tenderly slipped his hand beneath her back, pulling her closer. The physical closeness, combined with their emotional connection, made Emily feel completely trusting of him. "He truly understands me," she reassured herself as Jack's gentleness and care made her feel loved and cherished. Every touch from Jack seemed to convey a message. He loved her not only with words, but with all his care and appreciation. Emily felt his love, sincerity reflected in every action he took. She no longer felt anxious or hesitant. Instead, she relaxed, immersing herself in the love that existed between them. In that moment, no words were necessary. Everything was conveyed through soft gestures, warm embraces, and the harmony of their feelings. The room seemed to belong to just the two of them, where intimacy and love blurred everything else around them. That first intimate moment between them was not just a physical connection, but a harmonious merging of souls. Emily realized that love did not only come from grand declarations or romantic gestures, but also from the tenderness in every touch, every glance, and the quiet concern that Jack showed for her. She felt completely loved, and in Jack's arms, she knew she had found someone who truly understood and loved her, both in body and spirit. Emily first met Jack during their second year of college at a prestigious university in the U.S. They were both studying economics and happened to be assigned to the same group for a semester project. The university was located in a small town, characterized by an academic atmosphere, far removed from the hustle and bustle of larger cities. Emily grew up in a typical middle-class family in the suburbs of Boston. Her parents both worked in education. Her mother was a high school teacher, and her father worked in the scholarship management office of a local university. Emily was raised in a serious yet loving environment. From a young age, she was encouraged to study hard and was always expected to pursue a stable career. As an only child, she often felt she had to bear the expectations of her parents. She was an intelligent, sensitive girl, but a bit shy in social relationships. In contrast, Jack came from a working-class family of Spanish descent in Texas. His father was a mechanic, and his mother worked as a clerk in a grocery store. Jack's family may not have had much financially, but they were always filled with laughter and close bonds. He was the second of 3 siblings, and from an early age, he learned to be independent and hardworking. Jack's humor and optimistic spirit were standout traits that made it easy for him to connect with others. To attend college, he received a scholarship and worked part-time at the university library. The first time Emily saw Jack, she was struck by his bright smile and confident demeanor. Conversely, Jack was attracted to Emily's gentle and somewhat shy nature. Despite coming from different family backgrounds, they quickly found common ground through conversations about life, dreams, and future aspirations. Neither of them expected those meetings would become the foundation for a deeper relationship. After their initial encounter in the group discussion, Emily and Jack began to spend more time together, though both initially thought it was just for the sake of their project. Gradually, it became clear that the project was not the only reason drawing them closer. Each meeting brought Emily new feelings, as if an invisible thread connected her to Jack, one she hadn't yet recognized. Emily always felt something special whenever she met Jack. They often went for coffee after class or sat together in the library working on assignments. But they didn't always focus solely on their studies. Their conversations became more personal, including simple questions about interests, family, and their future dreams. Each time she talked with Jack, Emily felt like she was discovering a new world, one she had never explored with anyone else. "I don't know when it started, but every time I meet Jack, I feel my heart race just a little more," Emily thought. These feelings were fresh and hard to articulate. Previously, she had always considered love to be something distant, But now it was tangible in the very conversations and simple meetings they shared. Sometimes, just a fleeting glance from Jack or a meaningful smile would make her cheeks flush. Their early outings felt entirely natural and lighthearted. They never explicitly labeled their time together as dating, but every moment spent with him made Emily keenly aware of her special feelings. One time, they strolled around the campus after class. The fading afternoon sun cast a strangely romantic light over everything. As they walked slowly, discussing little things in life, each step beside Jack made Emily feel lighter, as if the day's tension had melted away. She realized she was savoring every moment spent with him. "I remember those times we sat drinking coffee and talked for hours, not wanting to leave," Emily reminded herself each night as she lay in bed. She found herself looking forward to their meetings more and more, thinking of Jack often. On some days, she wondered if Jack thought about her the way she thought about him. Yet, even without knowing the answer, the thrill she felt each time they met was enough to make her smile. A sense of longing began to emerge, even right after they had just parted ways. There were days when Emily sat alone in her dorm room, trying to read, but unable to concentrate because her mind kept drifting to Jack. She missed his laughter, and the way he looked at her with warmth. Is this love? Am I starting to like Jack? That question lingered in her mind. Emily couldn't deny that she was beginning to feel something beyond friendship. Jack's presence in her daily life had become an essential part of her existence. Yet, she was troubled by whether Jack felt the same way. Their outings and conversations made Emily's heart flutter, but she hadn't seen any clear signs from Jack that he shared her feelings. "I never thought love would come so gently," Emily thought as she reflected on Jack. Her emotions didn't stem from sweet words or grand gestures, but from their natural connection, from the times they laughed together and shared their lives. And although they had yet to hold hands or kiss, Emily knew one thing for sure: she was gradually falling for Jack, in a gentle and profound way. Every day with Jack seemed to clarify Emily's feelings. Each time she met him, her heart beat a little faster. Their outings together were never too elaborate, but for Emily, they were special moments. One of the most memorable early outings was when Jack invited her to the park on the weekend. The sky was clear, and the air was cool and pleasant. As they walked along the brick paths in the park, Emily noticed Jack glancing at her from time to time. There were moments when she caught his gaze and they both laughed without saying a word, but within Emily a flurry of shyness arose. "Is he thinking about me like I'm thinking about him?" she wondered. But she quickly brushed off that thought, wanting only to enjoy the peaceful moment beside Jack. They stopped at a bench near the lake, where a gentle breeze created small ripples on the surface of the water. Jack talked about his dreams and desire to open his own business and be the first in his family to have his own company. Emily listened, feeling the passion in his voice. "I've never met anyone as passionately driven as Jack," she thought. He spoke of the future with confidence, yet there was a hint of worrying when he considered the challenges ahead. After chatting for a while, Jack turned to Emily and playfully asked, "What about you? What's your dream?" Emily smiled shyly. "I just want a stable job, perhaps working for a big company, living a normal life," she replied softly. But deep down, she wondered whether that normal life would be enough for her now that Jack had made everything feel different. On another evening, they decided to try a small restaurant near campus that they had both heard many compliments about. The restaurant had a cozy atmosphere with soft yellow lights. When the food was served, Jack smiled at Emily and began sharing funny stories from his days working at his father's garage. She couldn't stop laughing. Each story pulled her closer to him. But just as her laughter subsided, Emily felt a wave of emotion. "I'm so happy to be with him. Why do I miss him even when he's sitting right here?" With each outing, Emily realized she was falling for Jack more than she had anticipated. Every time he was near, she felt a thrill, as if even the slightest touch from him could set her heart racing. Once, they went for an evening stroll. The moonlight cast a soft glow, and a gentle breeze rustled through the trees, creating a serene atmosphere. They walked slowly, chatting lightly, but Emily felt a tension rising between them, something unspoken but palpable. Just as they passed a beautiful cherry blossom tree, Jack unexpectedly stopped and turned to her. "I'm really glad we've become friends. You mean a lot to me." Emily felt her heart race. Does this mean he feels the same way? She thought she could feel her cheeks flush. "I'm glad to, Jack," she replied softly. In that moment, Emily couldn't hold back her feelings any longer. She took a step closer, and as if reading her thoughts, Jack leaned in slightly. Their eyes met, and everything around them faded away. She felt the warmth radiating between them, and instinctively, She reached out to grasp his hand, which felt surprisingly warm and comforting. Was that a touch of destiny? She wondered as she felt a thrill running through her. The moment felt magical and perfect, as if they were the only two people in the world. Their hands entwined felt as if they were meant to be that way. In that moment, they shared a silent understanding. No words were needed, their eyes spoke volumes. This must be love, Emily thought, her heart racing with excitement. The bond they had slowly built felt incredibly strong, and she was no longer afraid of the emotions swirling within her. As the semester drew to a close, Emily and Jack's relationship deepened. They shared more intimate moments, gradually letting down their guards. Each meeting was an opportunity for them to explore not just each other's thoughts and feelings, but also the physical aspect of their relationship. With every new experience, the feelings between them grew stronger. One day, they decided to have a movie night in Jack's dorm room. It felt like a typical setup: a projector, popcorn, and a couple of cozy blankets. The moment they sat down together, Emily felt a blend of nervousness and excitement. She knew they would have a lot of fun, but there was an underlying tension she couldn't shake. As they watched the movie, Emily caught herself stealing glances at Jack. He seemed so focused, yet every now and then, he would look over at her and smile. She wondered if he could sense the fluttering in her heart or the way her stomach twisted with anticipation. During a particularly thrilling scene, she instinctively leaned closer to Jack. Their arms brushed against each other, igniting a surge of warmth that made Emily's heart race. Just breathe, she told herself, trying to remain calm. But when Jack gently rested his hand on her knee, her heart soared. It was a simple gesture, yet it felt monumental. Jack looked at her with a soft smile, one that spoke of tenderness and an unspoken promise. Emily realized that she had never felt so connected to anyone before. After the movie ended, they lingered in the warm glow of a screen, still wrapped in the atmosphere of the moment. Emily sensed that this was a perfect opportunity. "Can I lean on you?" she asked, feeling bold. Jack smiled, nodding, and she laid her head on his shoulder. Instantly, she felt a wave of comfort and belonging wash over her. The soft rhythm of Jack's heartbeat soothed her, and in that intimate space, everything else faded away. They talked about everything and nothing, their laughter filling the room. But as the evening wore on, Emily felt the electric tension build between them. They both understood what was coming. The atmosphere had shifted and it was palpable. Jack took a deep breath and turned to Emily, his gaze serious yet warm. "Emily, I want to tell you something." He paused, searching her eyes for encouragement. Emily's heart raced. "I feel the same way," she whispered softly, her voice barely audible. Jack's eyes lit up with relief and joy. "I'm so glad to hear that," he replied, his voice filled with warmth. Their gazes locked, and in that moment, everything felt right. With a gentle smile, Jack leaned closer, and Emily could hardly breathe. She knew what was about to happen, and it thrilled her. Their lips met softly, igniting a spark that sent shivers down her spine. Jack kissed her slowly, as if savoring every moment. Emily felt a rush of warmth and sweetness envelop her. This kiss was unlike anything she had ever experienced before. It was not just about physical connection, but a beautiful melding of emotions and trust. They lingered in the kiss, feeling the world around them fade away. All that existed was their shared warmth, a cocoon of comfort that embraced them. When they finally broke apart, both a bit breathless, Emily couldn't help but smile. "That was incredible," she said, feeling her cheeks flush. Jack grinned back, his eyes sparkling. "Yeah, it really was." As they cuddled on the couch, Emily felt a sense of contentment wash over her. She had never felt so close to someone before. It was as if every barrier had crumbled, and she could finally be herself. Jack's gentle touches and affectionate glances made her feel cherished. In that moment, Emily knew she had found something special with Jack. Their connection was profound, woven from shared laughter, intimate moments, and the gradual unfolding of their hearts. She felt a sense of peace as she nestled against Jack, knowing she had taken a significant step in her journey of love and trust. Despite that, Jack didn't leave Emily wondering for too long. One time after they both watched a school basketball game together, Jack unexpectedly invited her to their favorite cafe. The atmosphere was quiet, with only soft music playing in the background. Jack was no longer as humorous as usual. Instead, he wore a deep and thoughtful expression. As Emily sat down, Jack took a sip of his coffee and began to speak in a more serene tone than before. "Emily, there's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time," Jack began, his eyes looking straight at her. Emily could sense the sincerity in his gaze, and her heart began to race. I know we've spent a lot of time together, and I truly feel very lucky to have you in my life. But lately, I can't stop thinking about you in a different way." Emily felt a little surprised, but her cheeks began to flush. Jack's words echoed in her mind, as if she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. "I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but I really like you, not just as a friend." Those words made Emily feel overwhelmed with emotion. All her worries and doubts about Jack's feelings suddenly faded away. She looked at Jack, her eyes sparkling, unable to hide her joy and excitement. "Jack, I feel the same way," she whispered, her voice soft but certain. "I've liked you for a long time." In that moment, all the distance between them seemed to disappear. All the outings, the laughter, the unofficial dates had led to this moment. They had crossed the boundary of friendship, and both knew that this feeling would not end here. After that confession, their relationship changed significantly. The light touches between them now held new meaning. Jack began to take care of Emily more. With small gestures like helping her put on her jacket when it got cold, or always remembering to call her at the end of the day to check in and chat. Each date was sweet and filled with mutual care. Emily no longer hesitated. Instead, she expressed her feelings naturally. The first time they held hands, Emily felt her heart melt. It was an evening when they were walking by the river. A gentle breeze blew, and Jack suddenly took Emily's hand, holding it tightly in his. The warmth from Jack's hand made Emily feel a strange sense of safety and peace. "Now I know for sure. He loves me, and I love him," Emily thought, her eyes misty with happiness. Their love gradually became clearer and stronger with each passing day. The words and glances they exchanged now held much more significance. Emily realized that love didn't always explode from grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Sometimes it was simply the understanding and deep connection through small moments, like how Jack held her hand on that chilly night. The relationship between Emily and Jack continued to develop naturally and deeply. They became indispensable to each other, and every moment spent together brought a sense of calm and security. Jack understood Emily, and in return, she always found sincerity and warmth in him. After months together, their bond was not only spiritual but also began to shift towards more intimate gestures. One evening, after having dinner together in Jack's small apartment, the atmosphere grew quieter. The soft candlelight from the table lamp cast a warm glow over the room, creating a sweet yet tranquil setting. Jack sat beside Emily on the sofa, and as they chatted, he gently pulled her closer, wrapping his arm around her waist. At that moment, Emily's heart raced more than usual. She could feel each heartbeat in her chest as Jack's warmth spread over her. Jack slowly leaned down, and his lips brushed against Emily's in a gentle kiss. It wasn't their first kiss, but this time it was more profound, slow, and full of emotion. Every move he made showed tenderness and care. Emily felt like time stood still in that moment, and all her worries or doubts melted away. As the kiss deepened, Jack gently cupped Emily's face, running his fingers through her hair with a tenderness that left her breathless. "I've never felt like this before," Emily thought silently, as each movement from Jack opened up a wave of intense emotions she had never experienced. His caresses along her back made her feel both excited and completely safe. Jack took his time. He allowed everything to unfold naturally, slowly exploring every emotional nuance of Emily. His gentle touches, from the way he held her waist to the meaningful caresses on her shoulders and neck, made Emily feel a flood of emotions rising within her. She couldn't deny that Jack's presence made her feel as if she were soaring, captivated by each intimate moment. Emily shivered slightly as Jack carefully slipped his hand beneath her back, pulling her even closer. The physical closeness, combined with their emotional connection, made Emily feel entirely trusting of him. "He truly understands me," she reminded herself as Jack's tenderness and care made her feel loved and cherished. Every touch from Jack seemed to convey one thing: he loved her not only in words, but with all his care and respect. Emily felt the love and sincerity in every action he took. She no longer felt anxious or hesitant, but instead relaxed and immersed herself in the love they shared. In that moment, no words were needed. Everything was conveyed through gentle gestures, warm embraces, and the resonance of their shared emotions. The room seemed to belong to just the two of them, where intimacy and love made everything around them fade away. The first intimate moment between them was not only a physical connection, but also a harmony of their souls. Emily realized that love did not merely stem from declarations or grand romantic gestures, but also from the tenderness in every touch, every glance, and the silent care Jack offered her. She felt completely loved, and in Jack's embrace, she knew she had found someone who truly understood and loved her, both in spirit and body. Following that first intimate moment, the relationship between Emily and Jack gradually entered a new phase. They were not just two people in love, but two souls genuinely connected, understanding, and in tune with one another. Their love was no longer just in words or simple actions. It had become an integral part of their daily lives. In the days that followed, Emily felt herself and Jack growing closer. Each morning, she received a message from Jack wishing her a good day, along with sweet words that warmed her heart. Jack was not only her boyfriend, he was the one who made her feel safe, cherished, and truly loved. One weekend afternoon, when they decided to go for a picnic at the park, the quiet beauty of nature made them both feel relaxed and at ease. Emily and Jack sat side by side on the green grass, the soft sunlight filtering through the trees, creating a warm and peaceful setting. Jack turned to Emily, his eyes sparkling with happiness as he looked at her. "I really can't imagine what life would be like without you," Jack said, his voice warm and sincere. Emily smiled, her heart racing as she heard those words. She felt Jack's feelings were not only shown through actions, but also expressed in his words, in the care he gave her every day. "I can't imagine my life without you either," she replied, her eyes deep and full of trust and love. Neither of them needed to say much, but the connection between them was undeniable. Their meetings, their shared moments became precious memories. Emily realized that their love was no longer just the awkwardness of the early days. It had evolved into a lasting relationship, where they both built and nurtured their bond. Every evening, as they sat together watching movies or simply chatting, Emily felt truly lucky to have found someone like Jack. His gentleness, patience, and respect made her feel not just loved but also created a solid foundation for their relationship. She loved him not only because he was someone she could trust, but also because he was a companion, a listener, and someone who understood her better than anyone else. Jack, with all his sincerity, brought to Emily a love she had never imagined she would have. And in every moment they shared together, Emily knew they would go even further, for this love had become an essential part of both their lives. In the following months, their love continued to grow, strong and beautiful. Both Emily and Jack understood that, despite life's many challenges, they would always stand by each other, overcoming difficulties and building their future together.